Yes.
In years.
Okay. Our first Parks Commission in the new year, so welcome. To formally, I guess, introduce co-chair of the Town of Berlin Parks Commission, we have our Superintendent of Public Works, Cody Chester, to my right. Given that we do have some new members, can we go around the room and just introduce?
Corey Davis.
I'm Laura Stearns.
Kim
Huber. Patricia Duvendal.
Kristen Gerhardt.
Okay, very good. And we are missing one member this evening. Michelle Gillespie was not able to make it tonight, so we are down one member. But we do have a couple of items that, exciting things to talk about tonight. So I guess to just jump right into our agenda. Formally, our first item is the approval of the minutes from our last meeting, believe it or not, which was October 22nd of 2024. Yeah, so I don't know if anyone got a chance to review the minutes that are included in the meeting packet, but if you did, do we have a motion to approve the minutes?
I move to approve the minutes.
I'll second.
And do we have a unanimous?
Aye.
Sure. Have them right here.
Perfect, thank you. All right, well, we do have some guests this evening to lead us into our agenda item number 2, which is the Community River of Kindness Project at Stephen Decatur Park. There is some material in the meeting packet, so I don't want to go too much into it, but if you wouldn't mind, can I just turn it over to you to?
Yes.
Okay.
So I'm Christine Huber, the Executive Director of the Jesse Club Memorial Fund. And Kim Clown, she's the President of the Jesse Club Memorial Fund. I brought our annual report so you can learn all the things we are doing. Please help yourself. So we are doing several things about suicide prevention, suicide awareness, suicide prevention. Kim, her son, took his own life in 2009, Jesse. That's so our name, Jesse Club Memorial Fund. So we're working, we have an outreach person who's in all the events with the table. Then we have, I go a lot to the schools. I'm just coming from the Stephen Decatur High School and work with programs like you have touched here. So there's one that's called Kindness and Care, that's for little ones. So basically, you know, what does it mean to be kind? Why do we need to be kind? And then I always like to do an art project with that. And then I do anti-bullying, that's not in here, and we do rock paintings with that. And then suicide prevention, they will make self-portrait and what makes them unique. So those are the programs I go to the schools with. And then Kim just started a program that's called Loss, that is for families who lost someone. We are trying to be there for them. So they reach out to us. We're working with police and first responders, and then we are there to help them to the worst, and you know, as long as they need.
Through those first 2 years that are just so tough and they're so vulnerable, so we wanted to be there. Bring them hope, and communicate regularly, meet regularly.
And so working with the schools, we create those rocks. And since I'm coming from the school, I thought I'd share what that looks like. So those are rocks the kids paint. So I'm telling them to paint something with a nice message or a place they love. And then I would like we would like to create this river of kindness, and that's kind of the idea that I can.
I'm just curious, all of these are completely waterproof?
Yeah, so I'm gonna basically spray them, so then they're waterproof.
Okay,
Yeah.
that was my only concern, it's like,
You-
how long will they last?
Yes, I mean, you know, after 5 years, they will fade, yeah, the sun will, so we can make, you know, can have it a rolling thing. So like, last week, I had 200 children who each paint a rock. So that's a lot of rocks that we have, that I already have. So we can really make sure it always looks good. So it's not gonna, you know, look
You can add to it and take out the ones that are faded and
Yeah,
stuff.
and since at Stephen Kidder Middle School, I'm part of the lesson plan, so I see every kid that comes into the school, which is great. And then they're already excited because then they know it's gonna be there, and I told them, you know, when it's there, then you can actually say, wow, this is my rock. This is one thing, and then the other, they have a builders club at Stephen Kidder Middle School who already wants to help with building it, planning it, building it. So I like that the whole community is kind of getting involved in that.
Where would it go in Stephen Decatur Park?
So Kim and I, we were kind of walking around and we thought maybe there is a memorial already and kind of on the other corner of that. We thought maybe closer to the road so that you walk by but you're not in it.
How long is it, the river?
That's a good question.
We don't know yet.
Yeah, I feel like, I don't know, I think I said 20 to 25 square foot. I think that's where,
To start with.
yeah, where
But we can
would
add
go.
to it over time too.
Right.
But we also want to make sure it's installed right, that no grass is growing into it and, you know, that kind of stuff. So we want to make sure that the underground is nicely done and then literally the rocks on top. And then in the middle have kind of like an information, you know, plaque that talks about the project and why they're doing it and what.
So I think
Message.
from a town standpoint, we would very much so like, of course, with the blessing of the Parks Commission, we would very much like to be part of this with you.
Wonderful, wonderful.
From a public works standpoint, I'll kind of let Cody talk a little bit more about it, but I do think, we think it would perhaps be best to almost do a little bit of a site visit at
Absolutely.
Stephen Decatur Park,
Sure.
do a walkthrough all together
Mhm.
and determine sites
What the
throughout the
best
park
is,
that would
yeah.
be best
Sure.
aesthetically from what you were hoping to do, from a maintenance standpoint, to
Yes.
just make sure our
Yes.
crews wouldn't be affected
Sure.
by the
Yeah.
development or the addition
Yeah,
of this. Just so we, in hopes that this can grow over time, we can expand, it doesn't get in the way of our crews maintaining grounds. So
And we
that
didn't
is
want it
something
too
we
close
would
to
like
the
to do as well.
playground because we thought little kids might want to
Yeah.
pick these
Yeah.
rocks up.
Yeah, and
and
throw
throw
them or something. Yeah.
So that's why we were thinking down that
Yeah.
other end.
I would just want to incorporate the horticultural committee and how, you know, what their plans
Sure.
that they are going forward with and how this could be incorporated
Yeah.
into, you know, the existing rain garden system or establish, because this looks like it's something that would be very appropriate for a rain garden system. You'd have something where water would be collecting and you could drain it off into an area or whatever. Just, there's a lot of possibilities with that. A lot of engineering involved,
Love it.
so.
That's a great suggestion, Patricia,
Yeah.
plus it would look nice.
Yes,
We would want it to be appropriate. So I know that the horticultural committee, you have such incredible people there, and we would definitely want them to be part of, from my point of view, we need their expertise.
Yeah.
I just start with kids that are so young, because once it becomes more ingrained in them,
Exactly. Yeah.
and, you know, as far as a community, the things that you're talking about here to me, you know, with the
Any age.
bullying, you know, every parent is afraid of bullying, how that can affect and, you know, their own kids, but plus other kids, you know, with all the climate today with the school shootings and
Exactly, yeah.
everything. This is something to me that, and one of the ways kids learn is by visually, you know, writing things, and so it kind of makes them learn early. My thought as far as, you know, building something like this in the park, aesthetically, I think, you know, automatically I'm thinking, what's it gonna look like in 5 years?
Mhm,
But
yeah.
this will just be rocks.
We have to
So it'll
keep-
just take it back to nature though
Yeah.
eventually if,
Right.
you
If
know.
it's abandoned, it will
Yes,
just
yeah.
go back.
So to me, it seems like a win-win, like Patricia said, if we worked it in with the
It would have to be part of the overall plan of, you know, how in the future, because you're talking about, you know, we have to remember Stephen Cater Park is a stormwater management area. So it's everything that has to deal with the water. that
Yeah.
comes
But this
in
would be
there.
good
Well,
for
it says
this.
the rocks are impervious, water,
Right, right.
you know,
Well, it
water's
depends
gonna
on-
go right through it.
Yes, but it's just how you want to channel it and bring it to it. We would want to capitalize on that as the maximum. We want to get as much water away. This would be, if it's appropriate. I don't know if this
If the
was-
grading's already somewhat reasonable there, this one on top will have no effect to it.
I think
Except,
that's
except
excellent.
slowing
I
the flow
think that
down.
Cody knows.
Yeah, I
would
mean, I
rely
don't
on
think
him.
the purpose of this is really as a stormwater, I think it's
But it
more of
will
a
attract water.
a display, yeah, but
But it won't have hardly any effect.
Do you want it to be raised above it so it's not, does not have water in it?
no, I think to touch on what they said, I think the best place for this is away from the playground, and the place where we have the most stormwater issues is by the playground. So I feel like this being its
Yeah.
own thing away from the playground would probably be best.
Okay.
Just for, like they said, it's, these,
Safety.
if you put it right next to the
Yeah.
playground, these rocks are gonna get picked up and thrown.
And thrown at each other,
Yeah.
you don't want
Now,
that.
the kids' parents
Exactly.
can walk them over to wherever it is,
Yeah.
they can see their rocks, but
Yeah.
that's not where they're gonna hang out.
Right.
Yeah.
More than likely.
I actually spoke briefly with our Public Works Director about this earlier this morning too, and he, again, very briefly, he was suggesting the parking lot area across from the playground. I wish I had a map here with me, but there is, in between the road and the parking lot, there is a
In the
vacant
middle,
lot in the
yeah.
middle
Yeah.
with trees, a few trees where we can maybe do a tree buffer around them with the rocks and then create pathways as we need to. So
Yeah.
there's opportunity, he perhaps felt, in that area where we could do something with that area to start and then use it to grow
Yeah.
as we need to. So
Yes.
that's where his mind went to start when I
That sounds great.
briefed the guy today.
There's so
And
many
it
possibilities
would
out there.
liven up that side of the park.
Yes,
too.
that's
With
true,
colors.
that's true.
Right.
Because all the kids are already like excited, they can't wait. And I called them today's meeting, they're like, oh, good
Yeah.
luck.
And then
But they are so
you
excited.
mentioned, I'm sorry if I'm getting the term incorrect, but a grounds, do you have a building and grounds group that would be part of this as well?
Well,
At the high
kids-
school, right?
Yes, so they have a builders group who.
Builders group. okay.
Yeah, yeah.
They want to be
And I-
hands-on.
Yes, so they want to help with the planning and that kind of stuff, and I think I mentioned them in my, yes.
Okay.
And so, yeah, they are at Stephen and Cato Middle School.
We can help with whatever they would need
Okay.
to, with tools, with manpower. I mean,
That would be
it's
great,
not a
yes.
problem.
Yeah.
And like roughly how many students or like head count?
Would be in that
you
group.
just-
Oh, that group is 20
20
kids, yeah, that's not.
Okay.
No, that's a good number.
Yeah, they are very.
You won't get 'em
excited,
all.
yeah.
No, but, you know, if you
Right.
have 20 to pick from, you'll get.
Yeah.
I really like the idea of there being something that child has done and it's part of the community. This is, I mean, one of the ways that we do combat suicide is by giving purpose and being connected. And I can see how this has many, many advantages that would help the community.
And I really have to say, I'm so impressed with those kids, what they are able to talk about. Our generation is not that great
We've
with that.
seen
and
so many,
the generations
so
before.
many.
But
Too many
yes,
things.
now it's like they are so, they want to talk about it and they are so happy that I mean, that sounds weird, but they're actually happy that someone comes and lets them talk about it and then do some fun art.
I think that's fun.
Where is this one? Or is this
This
just
is,
generated?
I found that online and I thought this
Yeah.
looks great as a
Yeah.
start idea, but
Is this
yeah.
about the size you're thinking?
That's about the size that I thought for now, yeah.
Well, it's very attractive. And it's nice, it has a little bench area in it
Yeah.
too, which it might be another, you know, another way to expand or, you know, just incorporate more, just bring more in. And
So
this,
if we find an area, or if they find an area and you give the kids like the area to work at, and they could maybe come up with the plan
Yeah.
and then get it approved by,
Yeah.
And,
kind of,
Yeah.
and then let them work within that.
Yeah, I think.
I think of, like you said, we should meet there.
Yeah,
all
I
of
think,
us.
I think the group
Yeah,
with
right.
the members that are available, horticultural, public works,
Right.
of course, members of, from your group. I think we could perhaps solidify a date, walk through the park, come up with a couple of alternatives, and if you wanted to even consider another park, we can walk through there too. Although, you know, Decatur Park might, seems to be where you're going, but we can look at Burbridge or even Henry Park if you so choose to, just as options. But I think going forward, we would come up with a site, a location at that site.
Yeah.
Come back maybe to the Parks Commission again, just to formally come up with
the plan.
the plan. I don't believe this will have to go before the mayor and council for formal approval, but of course, they will be briefed on
Yes,
this. After we formally bring it back to the commission for final approval, but I think that would be the path forward from here, would be to come up with a date to do a little bit of a site visit.
Yeah.
What's the time frame of wanting to get this done?
But I was hoping that we could, like, in March.
Oh, yeah.
Because then the year ends, the school year ends, you know, would be
Yeah.
good for them to actually
Would
see the whole.
I know it's
plan.
chilly, but would sometime February be
Mhm.
a
Yeah.
okay time to
Yeah.
get the group together to just walk through the park?
Sure, yeah.
Okay. So what I can do is, I'll get maybe some, of course I have the group contacts, but I can get contacts on your end and I'll send out like a meeting organizer with a couple of dates and see which one would work best for everybody. Daylight would be best, so maybe sometime afternoon, mid-afternoon. We'll get the group there and we'll go from there, but we'll start at Decatur Park, and that seems to be
Yeah.
Seems to get more
would like.
people.
Okay.
Used to be a place that allows the kids also, because we literally
Sure.
asked them,
Right.
where would you want it?
Okay.
Well,
That was
that's
definitely one of
that's
the
good
things.
information to have, that they
Mhm.
voted for that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay. Now, is the plaque in the picture on the rock here, is that what you're looking for as
It
well?
could be a wooden sign, it could
Okay.
be
Yeah.
anything, we haven't planned that.
Yeah, we
far.
haven't,
Okay.
yeah, we haven't planned that
Yeah.
for. I just like the idea that it is a big rock, and,
Sure.
you know.
I like
something
the idea that it's a
natural.
big rock because it can't be messed
Right,
with.
right.
Exactly.
Or
And it
it's
doesn't
something,
get old or
this
anything.
is something
Yeah.
in a park you really have to think about.
Yes.
you know.
Yeah, for sure.
Finding a big rock around here though might be difficult.
Well, you know, there's other kinds of things you
Yeah.
can do. It doesn't have to be a
Sure.
rock.
Right.
It's something that's well, not just
Yeah.
stuck in the ground.
Right.
It's anchored down, can't be picked up.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Unfortunately, around the nature pond, I think every one of those signs has wound up in
The pond.
the pond at some point.
That's
Oh,
a shame.
yeah.
And it's just a treat for somebody. They just
I think
it's-
those signs take away from the nature part of that pond.
Well,
Not that I want to see them thrown away, but
Well, I think that, you know, it was a good idea. It was something to try to encourage people to observe nature, but
Right.
maybe it's time to have it change.
To my Heron Park?
No,
Yeah,
the
the
nature
nature
pond
park.
across from Stephen Decatur Park, you know where Stephen Decatur Park is?
Right.
Where the parking lot is on the other side, there's a pond,
And a walking trail.
a walking trail around it. And we had great plans at one point to try and make it into something more than just a, it's not conducive to wildlife at all in its form now. Great dragonfly place, I have to tell you, lots of dragonflies, but that's a different story. We don't need to discuss that now.
all right.
Okay, so we'll plan for sometime in February, get the group together and we'll go from there.
Thank you so much. Thanks
Of
for
course,
having us.
thank you very much.
Yeah.
Here are your beautiful lots.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening.
Yes.
Don't go, Madam.
You too.
We'll be seeing you around.
All right.
All right. Well, moving on to agenda item 3. We are going to, I don't want to say formally table this, I can just brief the group on this, but I did receive a request from a pickleball group here in Berlin who would like to, who inquired about holding a clinic and other pickleball events for the Stephen Decatur Park. So I'm going to work with them on just honing in on the logistics of what they're looking to do before we formally bring it back to the group and brief you on that. But they're looking to do a free clinic. They proposed the idea of maybe doing it leading into the Spring Cruisers weekend perhaps, or even bathtub races. We're still working on the details on that, but we're hopefully getting some kind of pickleball event to utilize the courts that are there, which would be great. So I will have more details to share at our next meeting in March. But that's
What kind of a group is it that wants to do that?
it's the pickle. It's a Berlin-based.
Oh, it's Berlin.
Yeah.
I know there's some
I do-
pickleball group in
It's
Ocean
not like-
Palms or something.
No, it is a.
It's not like a for-profit.
Okay.
It's like
It
a-
is, they are a for-profit group, so that is kind of why I
Because-
wanted to hold off on.
Yeah, because I was gonna say, I like the fact that just Berlin residents can go there
Mhm.
anytime. Then once we open that up to
Yes.
people that are making money off of
Mhm.
our courts, then it's taking the that
Yes.
court away from,
Mhm.
that's just my.
Yes. Well,
Unless they can, if they're for-profit, that group, rent it to them. And which could go into the Parks Commission coffers to help
well, they
build
could,
things.
that's kind of why I wanted to just work out the details before we formally present it,
Mhm.
bring it back, because if the clinic that they're looking to hold is free to participants,
Yeah.
that's okay. But if we do start, if we start charging to participate in the clinics and collecting fees and registrations, and that's where it gets a little sticky and is frowned upon.
We'll
And
do
so
a
we
free
have
free
to-
clinic, and then if they ever
Right.
want to go into tournaments or something more, and where they're making money at a fee, to the commission.
Yes, but
It
that
just depends how much they would want to use it to make.
yeah, so,
I know that we've done things with Worcester County,
Mhm.
our recreation.
right.
And I think that's a really good place to, they've done, I think, some basketball things.
Mhm, yeah.
And did they do a tennis clinic or
I
something?
believe they did, yeah.
So I would love to explore using Worcester County as a resource to provide, because it is community-based.
Mhm.
If we don't have somebody here in Berlin who's interested in doing it. Now, free clinics, of course, I have no problem for, but if it's going to be something that's charged
Mhm.
for, it should definitely be through like Worcester County Parks and Recs or Berlin if we establish it ourselves. But I'm not in favor of charging for anything at this point. I mean,
But
and
also.
they should give prizes out too.
And it's also the tennis courts, and I see a lot of people using that now.
Oh, yeah.
So I would just hate to see any time taken away from the
Mhm.
people that are just using
Sure.
it. Because that's what it's there for.
Right.
Yeah, it would be good to know how many people are
Yeah.
really using it, but every time I go by,
Somebody's
it
on
seems like
it.
somebody's on
I
those
see it
courts
too.
now, which is wonderful.
Sure.
And if it took putting the pickleball courts in for people to realize there's tennis courts
Yeah.
there, I'm all about it.
Yeah. So I just want to, I want to find out more information from the group with what they're looking to do, and just to make sure that it is something that would not be frowned upon before considering it further. So it's, we will be hopefully bringing back something with more detail in March.
Thank you.
So that is what I have to share about the pickleball tournament. And Cody is going to take it away from here regarding some of the equipment replacements at Stephen Decatur Park. But one thing I will share really, really quickly before we go into that is, I'm sure you have seen our Facebook post. If Cody wants to touch on this too, go ahead, take the lead. But Henry Park is replacement, the large play unit replacement at Henry Park is underway. Demo, I'm pretty certain is complete.
It's a
Okay.
perfect
So
time
you
of
wanna
year to do
share
this.
the update on that?
Yeah, demo's done. My understanding was they're gonna let the ground set for a while, just because of the conditions, it was so wet over there. They had a lot of sand, looked like they put a lot of sand back. They're gonna let it sit for a while, I think they're still waiting on a couple pieces that they ordered. And then they'll, start setting up rates, pouring concrete and all that stuff, so hopefully in the next, couple months, it's done and
It's gonna be terrific.
ready to play.
By the nice warm weather.
Yeah, hopefully by, springtime, they'll be ready to go. So.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's great.
Maybe the ground will be frozen.
Yeah. They were doing, I was actually surprised because they started the demo when there was right
It was-
after the
yeah.
snowstorm that we got.
Wow.
So it was
You
pretty
guys are the
amazing.
best.
Yeah, so-
Well, it wasn't
couldn't
us,
believe it.
but it was the contractor that did it. They did
Well,
a great job.
Yeah.
thank you for getting that good contractor.
Cunningham Recreation.
Yeah.
They were great. So-
That's terrific.
Yeah, sorry, go ahead, wanted to share.
You want me
Thank
to
you.
roll into Stephen Peter Park?
Yeah, if you-
Okay.
if you can.
So I know we've talked about previously some things that need to be replaced at Stephen Decatur Park. One of them is the Caterpillar or the WUM, whatever it's called. That's out of date, it's not safety compliant. The other one is the purple climber that's close to the walk path heading back to the pavilion. I got a few different opinions from a few different companies. Attached is the one that Kate and I talked about, and I think that we like the best. Our plan was to remove the Caterpillar. It needs to be taken out. It's not safety compliant. Removing the purple climber. Bringing the play area where the purple climber sits closer to the walk path, so it's a little bit more handicap accessible. Even adding like a ramp to go out to the walk path, whereas now it's just you have to step over the border to get into the climber. And then adding 2 climbers in that place. My thinking was that, and Brian from Cunningham Recreation, his thinking was, opens up the park a little bit more. You add more green area in the middle of the park by, instead of having 2 separate climbers, you put 2 climbers in one enclosure. So it's easier on maintenance on our end. You got more green space, maybe even more space for benches and stuff like that.
Well, it's a very wet area too.
It is a very wet area, yes.
So grading that would be a real lovely
Yes.
advantage to do
Yeah,
that.
we could definitely do some grading there too to try to push the water away from that area. But the rendering that he attached is kind of what we were thinking. That would go closer to the walk path. It's got a 2 to 5 climber on the right for little kids, like a little tiny rock wall tunnel thing. And then on the left, it's got I believe that's a 5 to 12 treetop climber. Similar to what's going to go at Heron Park too. There's going to be one kind of like that at Heron Park, I believe. It's kind of like the new, I know they have them in Ocean City too. It's like one of the hot things for like a rope climber. So that was,
So this material is rope, not metal?
that is rope, yes.
Okay.
Kind of similar to like the spider web. that's
Right,
on-
I didn't know what kind of material it
Yeah.
was. So we're not, yes, okay,
And that,
great.
and I believe it actually spins as well. Like
It looks like it does,
Yeah,
so. That looks like fun.
yeah.
Is it come in adult sizes?
I mean, this one's actually, I think the picture's kind of deceiving. This is pretty tall, I believe.
Yeah, I think it's just the
Yeah.
proportions are not right, but
Yeah.
I get, especially if that one's for 5 to, or 12, up to 12-year-olds, it's
Yeah.
definitely gonna be bigger than that. But I think that's a good idea. I like the idea of having a ramp to get into the accessible. Making that accessible is a very good idea.
And this was a current fiscal year budget
Mhm.
item. So
Good.
per your approval going forward, we can,
This could be a
Tackle
less,
this.
less.
I wish there were more pictures of the rock wall looking, you can go in that?
Yeah, it's like a tunnel. You can crawl through it
Okay.
too. There's
I
like
just-
little like fossils, I think, on the inside of it. Yeah.
I just wonder like what could get in there. There's so many snakes over there.
It's a pretty open
Yeah, is it?
area. I mean,
It's probably bigger than it looks here
It
too.
is, probably, yeah, for sure it's bigger than it looks.
Would it be tall enough for the 2-year-old to stand in, or is it strictly a crawling type of
I
thing?
mean, I'd have to look at the measurements. I think it's more like a crawl tube. I don't think it's like a,
Okay,
stand up and run around in.
okay.
But yeah, the idea was just to try to condense
That's a great idea.
For maintenance purposes, and also bring stuff a little bit closer. I know, like right now, when we get a lot of heavy rain, in order just to get to where the purple climber's at, you've got to walk through standing water, you've got to walk through. The idea of bringing it closer to the path is you can just walk right off the path and then, you know.
I just wish there was a path that would connect where the sidewalk just ends there abruptly.
Yeah.
Like if you're, you got a stroller, you got,
There
I
was
know
talk about that at one time, I don't know.
it.
what.
I keep bringing it up because I know it's wet, but when my kids were little, there was always a path there and I
Yeah.
always went through and it was dry.
Yeah.
I just wish there was anything we could do just to connect the end of that, because, that's where you're coming from town.
Mhm.
And all of a sudden, the sidewalk ends, and you've got to figure your way.
Are you talking about like up into the playground or like
Mhm.
farther down the road, like the path?
Well, either, but I mean, I like to come,
If you're walking
Into
from
the-
town.
I like to, it used to, you can kind of still see where it was. It
Mhm.
used to kind of meander through the playground,
Okay,
and that way it connects to the path.
okay. Okay. yeah.
You know what I
That's
mean?
true,
Like
yeah.
if you could kind of meander through the playground, people with strollers and,
Mhm.
it's like, I don't know, it's just.
Something.
something
Definitely look
that
into it in the
just-
future for sure.
I agree with you, and this is what I was talking about with all the water. If we're going to remove a play area, which, I would assume that there's going to be some flexibility there. But yeah, it was like crushed shale or whatever.
Yeah, it was like,
Um,
the
Shale dust or whatever they call
Stone
it.
dust or
Like
whatever.
around the pond.
Yes.
basically,
Yes.
yeah.
But yes, we walked on that all the time. That's how you would get
Yes.
through, and you did not get your feet wet.
Yep, I miss it every time. I just
And-
think, oh, I wish that was still.
I think the water level needs to be addressed in there. So the grading, so if we're going to be doing this, can we try to address the grading for, even if it's not a legitimate path, if there's a dry area that you can get?
Well, I know the area around the Caterpillar, where the Caterpillar's at now, is like one of the wettest spots. So by taking that away, I
Mhm.
mean,
If they're gonna be crawling on through this.
well, this will be,
This will be raised.
this will be raised to a degree, it'll have the EWF surfacing in there, so.
Because I know some of those play areas are still underwater.
Yeah.
Is this going to be the same kind of manufactured
Wood fiber.
wood fibers? And that's the best thing for the accessible ones?
For being handicap accessible, no, it's not the best, but it is the most cost effective, for sure. If you're talking about like a pour-to-play surface, like that's around the.
Well, I don't know if a port and play or if there's like a mat that they put down, I don't know,
or
just
rubber
different.
matting, that's-
Yeah, I would be curious to see what it would take to upgrade this to where it would be really, I have no objection to my kids crawling around in the dirt, but, if you're talking about babies and you're talking about people who might have difficulty
Sure.
clearing the dirt away from their eyes or whatever, I would like to see some alternative surfaces in this, just in this particular one.
Yeah, I mean, you're talking about, I understand where you're coming from, you're talking about significant cost increase.
I still would like to know what the numbers are and if, if it's worth our while. I mean,
Right.
I just want to know. I want to know what the difference is and why, why can't we have good things? I'm
Right. Now, I will say that what I was doing with this and what we were doing working this quote was working within a budget.
Mhm. I
So-
understand that.
That would blow the budget.
I understand that, but I want to, is it going to cost them to show me the numbers?
No, I mean.
I just want to
can
know what
get
the
a-
numbers are, so that when we
Yeah.
go in the future, we can know what kind of money to appropriate for, I mean, it's
Okay.
information. I want to know how much this would cost if we did it the way we really wanted to. And,
The only thing with that is you have to remember too that there's pros and cons to every surface.
absolutely agree.
You can get a poured in place surface and it's gonna be more handicap accessible, but you're gonna have a lot of issues like we have with the one over at Stephen Decatur Park where we're constantly patching it, or
Oh.
there's issues with it settling underneath and the next thing you know,
Water runoff too, if you have a
or it
problem.
rots, or it, it's, there's.
I really understand all of that.
Okay.
I want to know what the financial difference is. And because if we're going to be doing more accessible kinds of things, there might come a place where we need to have that. I don't have any problem with living within the budget, but I would like to know what it would cost to have a different kind of surface on it.
Well, that's one of the things I asked last time, what is our budget? And someone told me we have basically a wish list, and that's what we work with.
Well, if you look back here, you have the numbers that are right over here. On this, it shows what our numbers are for these
For
plan
this
items.
one, going back to the one in February, I didn't see that, and that's what I asked for.
Right, that's why I guess that's why we have it, so I
That's
really
the-
appreciate that.
That's the quote. I mean, that's the quoted amount of what's shown in the picture.
It's an incredibly reasonable number.
And it doesn't include a few things that we would have to do on our end. But yeah, I mean, I can ask Brian to just kind of give me a ballpark of what it would cost.
Yeah.
I know, like, for example, don't quote me on exact
Well-
numbers, but I know, for example, at Henry Park, where we're putting in the new structure, I asked him what would Port and Play be for something this size, and he said, at $100,000,
Yeah,
or at 120.
that's it, yeah, for that big
It's-
area. of
So
all that you
I'm
have to do.
assuming for something that's not gonna, obviously, this is not as big, but I'm assuming
It would be,
30 grand?
you would be at least doubling this price.
At least doubling the price.
Yeah, and that's the kind of information that I'm wanting to know. That is unreasonable. That is an unreasonable expense, but now I understand.
Sure, no, I understand. And another reason EWF, the wood fiber, is nice is we can very easily every year, I'm sure you've seen it, top it off, make the,
It's an easy thing to work with, it's easy for us as well.
And for fall protection, honestly, it's great too. I mean, it is rated pretty highly for fall protection. Now, for handicap accessibility, there are better things, but.
Okay, well, thank you for discussing that with
Sure,
me. I'm
absolutely.
sorry to take up so much time.
No, you're fine, that's what I'm here for. So that's what are we, like,
Is the group in favor of moving forward with the proposed replacement that Cody just outlined for us?
I move that we accept the proposal as written.
Thank you for the frame of reference on that.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Perfect. Okay, and there is just one more.
yeah, and then, so I was kind of toying around with ideas. I'm sure you guys know the old four-way seesaw rocker that's been there forever. It's actually mechanically, it's in great shape. We've kind of tightened everything up, and there's nothing wrong with it. We put new spinners on either side of it this past year. I was thinking of like ideas where we could kind of like freshen up, because it does look kind of old, it's kind of showing it to you. Jess Hall, who does, she's done like the Yellow Brick Road at the Welcome Center, she's done Pollinator Way, other stuff through town. She's really talented.
She does the sidewalk chalk
Mhm.
events.
Yeah.
it's fantastic.
Fun.
Yeah, yeah.
I kind of ran that by her, and I said, would you be interested in like coming up with some ideas for painting that rocker, just to make it like, make it look nice and, kind of spruce up the playground. Facelift, yeah. She said she'd be more than happy to do that. Obviously we would buy paint materials and stuff, and it'd be a minimal cost for her doing it overall. But these are just some ideas that she came up with that she sent me that, you can go through and see, if anyone catches your eye, just.
Well, I'm gonna be no help because I like all of them.
Yeah.
Like, I don't even know which one to pick. They're all kind of cool.
So what she has to add is paint to make it look like.
Yeah, I mean, there's
Paint the equipment.
surface prep
Wow.
and stuff, like I'll probably have to go around with like a wire wheel and take what's on there off. and everything.
So
amazing.
I like every one of them.
Like she could look at that and then see these things. Just can, I do not have that.
I guess it would be good to keep it like not for a boy or a girl or whatever, but,
I like the earth in the middle. I like the one with the earth in the middle.
yeah, it's very cool.
Yeah, and then it's got elements, which,
I know it always, that That thing always reminded me of a turtle shell in the middle too. That's kind of like, it always reminded me of
It
where
was, that's fun too.
I mean, they're all good.
Well, when one wears out, we can move to the next one.
I do like that turtle shell.
I think any of these would be an improvement over what's the way
I
it
would
looks
take any
now.
of them.
So, I mean.
I mean, yeah, if you wanted to, you could run a little, poll on Facebook and see if people have a choice and then, get people involved in it. That's just a
That gets
thought,
her name out there too, like that she's.
just to, just to create interest. Or we could decide and
How do you
you don't want to do
you
that.
did a lot more with the social media than I do, so how do you feel about
If
it?
the group feels strongly of doing that, we could of course do whatever the group prefers. I
So don't want it.
worry,
Just it won't pan it, we won't get the results we are expecting.
I feel that the commission is in place
To
to
do.
make these decisions.
To
Okay,
get something
let's
done.
decide right
Right.
now.
Yeah,
Let's take,
but
let's look at them and let's take votes then to see which one. I think this one, for some reason, if I'm nitpicking, it might look too feminine. I mean,
I like the turtle shell.
I like the turtle shell too.
Yeah, I think without these being labeled, would people understand that they're the elements?
Yeah, that's what I think.
Okay.
But, yeah, I like them all.
I like them all.
And- and it'd be
I
great.
think that we're gonna, do you think that we should go ahead and do the turtle shell? That would be the happiest day for
it
most
would make Cody
children.
really happy.
It would make Cody happy.
I was gonna say, I don't have a vote. I think they all look great, but, that's what I always thought of when I thought of.
I think the children will really respond to the turtle shell.
I do too, boys, girls.
Everybody,
Everyone.
so
Okay.
easily recognizable.
I'll make a motion to choose the turtle shell.
Fantastic. Now, do we know if there will be a cost to the town for services? Do we?
I mean, I'm gonna expect Jess to be paid for her time, but I know she said that it would be pretty minimal.
Okay.
Like, I told her I would buy the paint. I would help her prep surface, like, grind off the old paint and stuff like that. So it's not gonna be, I don't know. I don't-
That's
I
just
don't
cute.
know
It's
what it-
minimal.
It's gonna be minimal. I mean.
Well, we'll have to be sure we get some pictures of her while she's painting it.
Yes.
So we
Yeah,
can
and then
make
we
a
can-
nice
then we can
news
post that.
story out of
Yeah.
it. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Good idea.
Hey, anything to get people in the park.
I'm sorry, did we have a second for the turtle?
I'll second.
All right.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right.
Turtle
Adding-
shell.
Doing that and then adding the new climbers and stuff and Cedar Cave Park.
That's
We're trying to
awesome.
chip
Yeah,
away
it's
at it.
gonna eliminate some problems, which is just as good as adding new stuff.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Okay, well, that is all we have on the agenda for this evening. Our next meeting will, of course, pending weather, knock on wood, Tuesday, March 4th. We will be tackling our wish lists, if you will, in the coming months. We will have our spring events coming up too, so we'll have that all gathered and presented to you probably at our March meeting.
When is spring celebration?
It is Saturday, April 19th this year.
So that gives us plenty of time to get anything
Saturday
that we
Crown
need.
Craft, yeah, we'll do that in the March
Okay.
meeting, yeah.
Will we be able to add anything to the wish list? At that meeting?
Sure, we can discuss whatever you like.
So this
It's
is,
still my tree thing.
Well, I will say, we can talk more about it in March if you'd like, but I have been doing some homework after our last meeting. I've spoken to Chief Downing about it, our Public Works Department. There's reasons why the buffer has not been pursued in the past. So I can put more information together and
Okay.
and talk more about it in March if you'd like.
Okay.
From a safety perspective, they do like an open view from the highway, being able to see into the park at all hours of the day.
Got it.
There's,
Yeah.
there are
Well-
reasons why a buffer such as the one that we've discussed has not been pursued yet to this point.
I was curious about the flagpoles.
We're still waiting. I can check, honestly, I can check tomorrow and see kind of what the timetable is.
Yeah, it's just with the next,
Yeah.
I assume it's not going to be up by the next meeting.
You never know.
You never
because, I mean,
know.
You know, all it is really setting some, obviously with the temperatures the way it is, you
Yeah.
can't really pour concrete.
No,
so,
you can't pour concrete in this.
Did we hear back from the gentleman who is donating them on the new wording? Or
The mayor's office took that over in terms of finalizing
The wording.
on the plaque. I don't believe they have finalized it yet, to
I
my
will be
knowledge.
seeing him on February 6th.
If,
I will ask him if he has heard from the mayor's office.
yes, ma'am.
And to please respond so that we can get this
I
project moving.
do know for certain that they have reached out.
Okay, we'll see,
I
we'll
just
see.
don't know if there's been progress on finalizing.
Yeah.
But-
No, I'll stoke a little fire under him. I know that he's very passionate about this, and he put a big thing about Stephen Decatur on his webpage.
Oh.
So he's very passionate about Stephen Decatur. I gave him one of the little booklets, and the Stephen Decatur booklets, and
Oh,
he was
perfect.
very excited about that. So.
Well, thank you all.
While we're on the topic of Stephen Decatur, I just want to let you guys know, when it warms up, we'll be rebuilding the pedestrian bridges around the pond at Stephen Decatur.
Thank you.
Yeah, because they're kind of, they're not.
Abuse, a little abuse.
In the best shape, yeah. Plan is to make them just a hair wider,
Okay.
so we can actually get our equipment around there easier. Not obviously, just like a side-by-side, not like a truck or anything. But-
No, well, the mower or
Yeah,
whatever,
the mower
you know,
or
little
side-by-side,
cart.
something light. But yeah, the plan is I got the approval to do that, so that'll be done before spring.
Is it going to be of the same materials as it has
Yeah, it'll
been?
just be salt treated lumber, I mean, just like it is, it's just gonna be built a little bit differently, a little bit wider, and new
A little
lumber.
less easy to kick out the rails, maybe?
I'm not putting that style rail up at all, so you won't be kicking out. at all.
Okay, well, I'm sure that the,
I was just gonna
Teenagers
run
would-
2x as rails the whole way down, so there won't be any
thank you,
kicking.
that's.
And we, a few months ago, we haven't met to really talk about it, but we were awarded the grant to pursue the permanent restrooms at Decatur Park as well.
Yes!
So that is also
Yes!
a project that we're gonna be putting together the bidding documents and putting the project out to bid in the next couple months, so.
That's awesome.
yeah,
That's terrific.
that's
What a
happening,
wonderful
too.
thing.
I will not
So-
miss that smell coming around that loop.
Yeah, so.
Well,
it's
and,
happening.
the winds can knock those things over. And
Mhm. Yeah, so-
Well, good.
Well, good
That's
things.
good news.
Excellent.
Yeah. Okay, well, any comments from the group?
I think we did it.
Okay.
Make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Okay. Thank you all.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Excellent.